Dolphins quarterback opened up about Flores in an interview on the Dan Lebitard show on Monday, calling him, quote, a terrible person.
If you woke up every morning and I told you you suck at what you did, that you don't belong doing what you do, that you shouldn't be here, that this guy should be here.
The Miami Dolphins have had one heck of an offseason and are gearing up for an insane 2024 season. There was just so much to unpack as we head into week 1. We all know this is a big year for Tua because he wants to prove himself again. And even more than that, prove that he should still play football after all the head injuries he has sustained over the past few years. And then we had the addition of Odell Beckham Jr, who is already hurt for the first 4 games of the year. And then we have all the changes on the defensive side of the ball, so in this video, I'm going to cover it all. But before I begin, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind. We are on the road to 40k subscribers, and with your support, I believe we can get there super fast. Alright, so first and foremost, as I said, all eyes are on Tua Tagovailoa, coming off a season where he led the league in passing yards and secured a contract extension. Expectations are high, however, his past head injuries remain a big concern, and the Dolphins have structured his contract to protect themselves financially should health issues arise again. This season is pivotal for Tua to prove he can lead the team to success while staying healthy. In training camp, the Dolphins have been busy preparing their roster and making strategic adjustments. Notably, they added first-round pick Chop Robinson to their pass rush rotation, which already includes Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb. He is recovering from an ACL injury, but his return is eagerly anticipated. The team also parted ways with several defensive players, signaling a shift in strategy under new defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver. Under-the-radar players to watch for include Jalen Wright, who impressed during training camp and could become a key part of the running back rotation, alongside Raheem Mostert and Devon Achane. On the defensive side, keep an eye on rookies like Storm Duck and Jason Maitre, who have shown promise and could contribute significantly this season. And the Dolphins' true strengths, of course, lie in their explosive offense, which was top ranked in total yards last season, with Tua at the helm and dynamic receivers like Tyreke Hill and Jaylen Waddle. The team is expected to continue its high-scoring ways, however, the offense's resilience on these star receivers could be a potential weakness if injuries occur. Defensively, the Dolphins do face challenges, particularly in the secondary, where they need significant improvement to compete against the AFC's elite teams. The revamped pass rush and linebacker core will be crucial in offsetting these weaknesses. And the coaching staff has seen considerable changes, with 11 new coaches joining Mike McDaniel's team. Key additions include Anthony Weaver as defensive coordinator and Joe Barry as linebackers coach. These changes aim to bolster the team's strategic approach and address last season's defensive shortcomings. Mike McDaniel's leadership will be crucial as he navigates these changes and implements new strategies, and his ability to adapt and make in-game adjustments will be tested. And his relationship with Tua will be pivotal in maximizing the quarterback's potential. The coaching staff's ability to foster a winning culture and maintain team morale will be essential throughout the season. Moving on, I already talked about him a little bit, but Jalen Wright, a 4th-round draft pick, is another young player to watch. Despite the Dolphins' depth at running back, Wright's speed and playmaking ability make him a valuable asset. The team traded up to secure him, indicating their belief in his potential to contribute early in his career. Wright is expected to be part of a dynamic backfield rotation, adding depth and versatility to the Dolphins' offensive attack. And then Mo Kamara, drafted in the 5th round, is also expected to make an impact, particularly in the Dolphins' defensive rotation. Kamara's productivity in college with 13 sacks in his final season suggests that he can be a valuable rotational piece, especially if the team faces injury challenges in their defensive line. In addition to these rookies, the Dolphins have other young players who could emerge as key contributors. Malik Washington and Taj Washington, both wide receivers, provide depth and potential breakout performances if given the opportunity. And with the potential for injuries to key players like Tyreke Hill or even Jaylen Waddle, which hopefully doesn't happen, these young players could see increased roles as the season progresses. Alright, now moving on, let's look at some of the plays that happened during the preseason and break them down. In week 2, we actually got to see Tua on the field along with some of the other starters. As you can see right here, we have Raheem Mostert, who split a gap that the O-line created to almost get a first down. I think establishing the run is going to be super important this season, because if defenses have to worry about that aspect of things, how do you also cover the elite and fast receivers they have? We also got to see a little of that Mike McDaniel's trickery that he likes to pull out every now and then. This one was to Jonnu Smith, who is another guy I didn't mention that could have an underrated impact for the team this year. The Dolphins like to run so many different looks and schemes in their offense, which really can confuse the defense, but sometimes it is risky. Here we got to see a nice little play fake out of play action to Jaylen Hill by Tua. It was a good read of the defense, and he did a great job of getting rid of the ball quickly as the pressure came to give Hill a chance to get close to the sticks with some daylight ahead. One thing about Tua many people are talking about is his weight loss. He's a lot more mobile, and like I said, he's getting rid of the ball much faster. On this 4th and 1 play, this was an absolutely beautiful throw to where only River Craycraft could get it. If Tua can consistently make throws like this, especially when the top receivers are on the field, then look out. And honestly, he was last year. We just need to see it in the playoffs when things truly matter. Here's what some of the media has to say about Tua.
You coach the best players the hardest, and then everybody else falls in line. It's just sort of the way it is. And so that's how Brian Flores coached Tua. I think one thing that's interesting though here, and this part is generational, is how I think Nick Saban doesn't get credit for tailoring his coaching to the individual players and what the individual players need. And I think the best guys do that. And I think that's one thing that Brian Flores has learned from going through this. And I think he's learned a lot from going through this.
Anyways, moving on, the last thing I want to talk about is training camp and the schedule ahead. So let's talk about what guys actually stood out. First, we have the tight end Jonnu Smith. Mike McDaniel has been hungry for an all-purpose tight end since day one. George Kittle isn't an option, neither is Travis Kelce. So the Dolphins imported Smith from Atlanta on the wings of his career-best 50 receptions, 582-yard season. Now, watch for McDaniels to find all sorts of ways to get Smith the ball and keep him involved even when it's not in his hands. Next, over at corner we have Cam Smith. Miami's top selection a year ago was never sniffing the field as long as Vic Fangio was the defensive coordinator. Well, he's no longer there, and Anthony Weaver will give Smith a blank slate to work with. And Smith hasn't turned into Jalen Ramsey overnight, but he's making so many people reconsider that rush to call him a bust. And the final guy I want to talk about is linebacker Channing Tindall, who was a 3rd-round pick in 2022. But like Smith, had the misfortune of being Miami's top selection that year. For 2 years, he was invisible, avoiding criticism only because he didn't play a high-profile position and wasn't pressed into duty. This summer, he has started making plays on defense, and he'll contribute on special teams. In terms of the schedule, the Dolphins open up at home against the Jags in a game that they should be able to win. I personally am not the biggest on T-Law and what they got going on over there, but then week 2, it will be the Bills, which will be a much tougher game even though Diggs is gone. Setting the tone is definitely going to be important for the Dolphins this season because in terms of the playoffs, they need home field advantage. We saw what happens when midwinter you have to go over to Arrowhead and play in record-setting cold temperatures. That's really all I have to say for this video. Let me know in the comments below how confident you are in this Dolphins team as we approach week 1 of the NFL season. And also, if you enjoyed and haven't yet, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe because your support truly does mean the world. And let me know what you would like to see next. And until then, I will see you all later.